Hey, what's up everyone? As you can tell, I have quite a mess to pick up. It's working on a trailer project and there's a lot of stuff that I had to use and tool-wise, and yeah, my garage is in a shambles, so I think I'm going to take this as a good opportunity to have a conversation. So if you don't like conversations and you just don't want to watch me do mindless work, then I suggest turning the video off now. But if you do like to have a conversation, then let's go ahead and continue. Let me explain what the conversation is. I'm going to go over some of the do's and don'ts of small engine repair. Things I've learned over the years of doing this, and hopefully I can help protect or even encourage other people to pick up some good habits that I found, and maybe you can help save or even make money for yourself. So without putting any length on this video, I'm going to go ahead and get started and we'll get to discussing it. Like I said, forgive me, I'm doing mindless work now, but this is good conversation. So we're going to go over a couple of them. The very first one you're going to want to pay attention to, actually all of them, because I will tell you somewhere throughout the video, so I would suggest watching the full video. The most expensive and the one that made me the most money. Well, I mean most expensive, the one that's going to cost you the most money if you mess it up. So let's go ahead and continue. So first don't is do not work with people that are, I don't want to say sketchy, but let's say for instance you have a generator for sale and you have it listed, or you're working on something for somebody and they come up with 1,001 excuses. They want you to meet them in some weird place, they want you to do all kinds of weird things. No, that's sketchy. Never do that. The only thing you're going to do is if you invite them to your home or where you do business, they're now going to know where you work or live. How do you know this? Well, look at their profile. How are you selling it? Are you selling it on your backyard or on your front driveway with a for sale sign? Well, that one's a little harder, but if you have it posted up like on, Marketplace or Craigslist or whatever the place is, and you just keep getting these weird requests, and that includes trading. Never trade. Never trade unless it's more machinery, and never trade unless you specifically list in your listing that you will accept trades. I put on there I will, for the sheer and simple fact that I don't want to pick up machines all the time. If someone has an old machine and they want to buy my machine and give me theirs, and I'll give them a little bit of a discount, it helps me, it helps them. We all winners. But if somebody says, oh no, I have blah 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 machine, it's worth like $10,000, or I have this oak furniture set that's worth triple what you're asking for, that's a red sign, a red flag. Don't do that. So sketchy people, don't work with them. Bad news, you're never gonna be happy with it. Second good thing to do is work with professionals. Professionals, they expect a professional product, but assuming you give them a professional product, they're going to pay you on time, they're going to pay you well, and they're going to be repeat business. There are professionals, especially certain professions, you want to stick away from. Now, I'm not saying I don't work with flippers, because I do. I'm technically a flipper, but don't work with people who are flipping and they want to nickel and dime you left and right. If you work with a flipper, you tell them, oh yeah, this is going to cost $150, and they start offering you like, other stuff for your time or money, or will you work for this machine because I just don't have the cash right now. Well, there's a reason why they don't want that machine. They didn't give it to you. It's because it's probably just a giant pile of garbage. So don't do that. The only thing you're going to do is sort of work for free, which is kind of a bonus. Don't work with sketchy professionals. Leads me to the next one. Sketchy professionals, like I said, will go ahead and just cause all kinds of problems for you. They will consistently bring you junk. They will consistently just give you a hard time, and that's just something you don't want to go down. So if you can avoid it, don't work with sketchy professionals, people who don't pay you when they come and get your machine, people who barter with you, people who a certain amount of bartering, yes, I will agree, is probably okay. But if you give them a $150 quote and they say, well, how much was the parts? Well, did you really spend 2 hours on that? Can we work something out? Maybe I could pay you like on Tuesday and pay you the rest like on Friday. No, you could pay me on Friday, but you're gonna pay me the whole amount on Friday, and on Friday is when you get your machine. So there's a don't for you. Do look for deals also of where you are posting, because you will, if you're buying stuff on there, you kind of get the general census of how much it should cost. So if you're flipping, then you know, well, this Honda usually goes for $250. If I find one that's $100 and something, and I know the problem is probably free or fairly inexpensive, I can make like $80 on it pretty easily. That's a good thing. If you never look at the places that you are listing, you don't really know what they're going to go for. If you just go off like new products, like you went to a home improvement store, found a machine, it's like $500. So you say, well, I could buy something very similar and list it for $450. That's a savings of $50. People don't usually do that. You could try, maybe you can get lucky, but people don't usually like to do that. They have to be getting a deal for getting something used. Even if it's in good condition, unless it's practically new, you're going to be selling it definitely not at 90% of the original price. So get a good feel for the market and adjust accordingly. Markets do change too, so here's a bonus tip. Routinely check. One year something could be $100 and randomly it could be worth $40. Leaf blowers are a perfect example. 2 years ago I could sell even the cheapest leaf blower for like $60-$80. Now I'm lucky if I can sell anything for like $40, because battery is so, I don't want to say good, but easy now. And unless you have a very large lawn that needs a lot of leaf blowing, or you're a professional, then guess what? You're not going to need a big leaf blower. So, that just, you kind of have to take a hit. So, which brings me right to a do. Do look into what is selling if you are a flipper. I know this is a lot of flipping, but we'll get into the repair business here soon. If, like I said, leaf blowers aren't, and you see a lot of them, and you consistently see a lot of them, don't buy a used one. You're not going to enjoy yourself. That one's pretty self-explanatory, so hopefully everyone can understand that one. So, that was a do. Let's go ahead and go over don't. Do not do what my father-in-law lovingly calls Mickey Mouse work. What I mean by that is this. If you are selling something, or you are giving something to somebody back that you repaired, and you are kind of questioning if they were going to come over and instantly turn it on when they get here, and you kind of are worried about it, you're not ready to sell it or give it back to them. Don't do that. Want to know what that does? Waste your time, waste their time, and more importantly, it's yours. Or arguably, it could be equally as important. But let me break down a scenario. Imagine you land a pretty good professional, or a person who does flipping, that's very respectable, by the way, and you're doing shoddy work, or maybe even just like a farm owner has lots of pieces of machinery. People have friends, people share information, so one bad deed can lead into a lot of bad deeds. Anyway, you're doing shoddy work. Now they have to bring it back to you. You have to go through all that time, and what happens? You have to do the same job over again. That's twice the amount of work. Don't do that. A decent work will always get you a decent product. Make sure if you're ever giving anyone anything, you would be comfortable giving it to your mother or your father, your brother, your sister, your friend, whatever the special person of your life is. It has to be that type of return. This is kind of a hard one to go over. I'm just going to have to discuss it. Do not offer a money back guarantee. Offer that you will kind of go with the previous one. You will repair it if it was a fault of your own. Because let's say, for instance, this machine, I've already fixed it. In fact, I didn't fix it even that long ago. But that person brought back to me about a month later, said that he was using it. He's used it for a few hours, and all of a sudden, it's bogging. Well, my repair lasted because I didn't repair anything to do with the carburetor. I actually repaired the clutch. Clutch drum was bad, replaced it, and when I gave it to him, it was running. What ended up happening for this one, I'm just going to go over, is there's water in the fuel. That's not my problem. That's a separate repair. However, if I repaired this, and before I didn't find the water in the fuel, then yes, if they are going to bring it back to me because I didn't do anything, which kind of goes with the shoddy work, I will repair it. I'm not going to charge. Which brings me next to the next one. Don't give a price. Unless it's something simple like a tune-up, or that's basically it. Even then, it's a little questionable because some people's version of tune-ups, so when I go over those, I usually tell people what a tune-up entails, and if they want to add extra, and then I can begin to give them a price. But imagine, I get this all the time. The clutch doesn't work. It's always running or something stupid. And next thing I know, it doesn't even turn on. I told them this is going to cost like, I don't know, $80 or $60 or whatever the price quote is for whatever problem I gave them. And now I have to give them a call and say, hey, so I fixed this, but I kind of noticed this other thing, so it's going to be more. No, I tell them this. I'll let you know once I look at it, how much it's going to cost. I'll give you a call. Usually it's roughly between this and that. If it's anything more, do you want me to give you a call? Or if it's in that ballpark, should I just do it and let you know what the final price is? If you do that, then you can save yourself a lot of problems. Because if you do find something additional, guess what? You probably didn't fix all of it, and the person knows that you don't even know what's going on, and you made an accurate assessment in the beginning. You're less likely to make them angry. Here's another do and don't. Don't give time frames. Try to work within a time frame. If you want, you can even ask for a time frame, but don't work within time frames. People have to learn that that's your time frame. The reason why, paint you another picture. If I was going to buy, let's say, a clutch online, I could get it probably by tomorrow, maybe a little longer, another day or two. If I want to go to my local supply, I would assume they would have it because it's a common part, but I don't know. Maybe one day someone came and bought all of them. Maybe they had an influx of people needing repairs and they used all their stock on hand. I don't know. But if I assume I can go get it, and I tell the person, yeah, I'm going to go and get the part right now, I'll have it ready for you in a few hours. Well, guess what? Now you have to call them. What if they rearrange their day? Yeah. What I will tell them is what you should do. This is a do, by the way. You should give them a general time frame. My conversation goes about this almost always: when do you think it will be done? I'd say if my local supply has it, it shouldn't be more than another day or two, depending on the problem, of course. If it's a big job, then it's going to take longer. But like a clutch, that takes like 30 minutes, obviously, for that example. But if I say, if they don't have it available, then I will have to order it online. If that's the case, it could take 2 to 3 days longer, maybe more, depending on delays or anything else. And that's not to even say if the parts I need are not on back order, which happens quite often. So never get a time frame. If they really not want you to narrow it down, you can say, I'll look at it and I can give it to you a more accurate time frame after I'm done looking and calling around for you. At that point, that you can give them a more accurate time frame. If they're walking into your door or on your driveway, dropping it off, never give it to them. You don't look at it, you don't know. Don't do that. So do give them a time range and give them clear expectations, but don't actually give them a dead set time frame. That's the easiest way to make someone angry if you can't make it. Majority of the time, I'm sure you can, especially if it's something simple like a carb cleaning or something. But trust me, carb cleanings can even go south fast too. So, there's just things that you don't want to have to do, and that's one of them. So, we went through quite a bit, but we'll get into some bigger items now. A very large item is, if you are going to do this, you have to. A very large item is kind of going with the other one I mentioned, but working with professionals. Professionals don't always have small pieces of equipment. Don't be afraid of saying no. I'm going to say do. Do not, as in do, space, not. It's kind of weird. Oversell yourself. If you have a giant Toro trencher and they want you to do like the hydraulics are messed up and they don't know why. You've never done anything with hydraulics. You can't just say, oh yeah, sure, let me go ahead and get that taken care of. All you see is dollar signs because they took it to the local shop. They're going to be paying hundreds of dollars, maybe even hundreds of dollars for them just to be looked at. And you can do it for a quarter of the price, but still a pretty good profit for you. But you've never done it. What happens if you mess that up? Now you're out of money, and they're out of time, which means money to them. So don't overdo it. Don't take out bigger pieces that you really should. And if you do, make sure they're simple projects. What are simple? Engine replacements, as difficult as that may sound, it's not mentally straining, but it is physically hard. Oil changes, stuff like that. If you are going to work in hydraulic systems, I'd recommend you purchase the piece and then work on it so you can kind of get familiar with it. You shouldn't familiarize yourself 100% with a piece of machinery. Now that's a double-edged sword. Obviously you're never going to know everything about one, but you're going to know the basics. Especially with hydraulic systems or anything like that. If you've done one, they're all kind of similar. Things are different here, things are different there, but the general idea is the same. If you don't even know the general idea, then you shouldn't do it. You should familiarize yourself with that general idea, but on your own dime, not theirs. Because that kind of brings up the next one is, don't take money in advance. When you purchase stuff, especially for parts, make sure you have a good refund policy, because you don't want them to give you money in advance and then you have to give it back to them. I've had a situation, which I'll never do again, where someone did and they thought that they gave me more than they did because it was cash. They thought they had $300 in their wallet. In fact, they only had $200 for a wallet. In fact, that's exactly how much I told them they was going to have to charge just for the parts. So they gave it to me. Well, guess what? Now they think I screwed them out of $100. I know I didn't, but they're not happy. Never again. All the parts I buy have a return policy, and all the return policies, I make sure I follow them. If I fix something, let's say blades on a mower because something's broken and they can't pay or they don't want to pay, first of all, I should have told them how much it was. So I shouldn't really be too concerned, and they shouldn't be too surprised because I told them they're going to need new blades, and this and that. It's going to be about this much or so, depending on that. And if it's more, like I said, I'll give them a call. But if for whatever reason they're just not liking it, you can return it. You don't have to give them money. All you have to do is same thing you're going to have to do anyway, is return the parts, but now you don't have to return money. That's a little bit hard on your wallet, but at the end it's going to save you a headache. So that is a pretty important one to me. I don't really like having other people's money. So this kind of brings me up to the next one. When you have someone else's machine, don't leave it out. Don't leave it outside. Don't leave it out in public. Don't ideally have anyone else see it, because what if that were to be stolen? Put it in a secure location. All the machines you constantly see in my garage when I'm moving, they're outside now. I live in a dead-end road. Yes, there are people here. My neighbors do see them, but I know all my neighbors. So, and I have security cameras, so I don't invite people here with customer machines outside, and especially when I'm not around. They're in a locked garage. Both the door to my garage on the big door and the small door are always locked when I'm not here. I don't leave it outside. I don't leave it in the side of my yard. I have a dog, obviously, but she's not exactly the most guard dog-ish. The best guard dog can be purchased with a stake. So you don't really want to be the person that has to buy another machine because you didn't store it correctly. And that goes with storing it correctly and also in a way where it's not going to get damaged, which is why outside's also not a good idea. Tell you a story. I had a generator and I put it in the back of my truck. I had to go pick it up for the person because they're a little older. I told them I would. They lived like a mile down the road, and I put it in my truck. All of a sudden I got busy, and what ended up happening? It rained. Now there's rain. Nothing technically happened, but you can kind of tell. You kind of feel bad. What if it were to short out? Luckily I dodged a bullet on that. So, but what if it snowed? What if that snow melted and created ice later when it froze? And then something broke inside because the ice expanding. Maybe it's a pressure washer. You don't know. I mean, put it in a secure location. You don't want to have other people's items in a unsecure, out in the weather location. Keep it as controlled as you humanly can. And the last one is definitely like kind of going off of the more that you can chew, but don't be afraid to say no. If you know this is not a good project, unless there's a reason why, let's say this had a blown motor. I can't tell you how many times I've had this conversation with BR800X owners, the steel backpack blower, but I tell them, no, I'm not going to fix this. They're like, why? I'm like, it's too expensive. It's too expensive for you. It's too expensive for me for the time and effort when I could be doing something else. And not to mention, I don't like those machines, so they're already kind of annoying to me. But they're too expensive. I don't want to fix a machine that is going to be repaired, and you're going to be paying almost what it costs you just to buy a new one. That is not good for you or me. I could be fixing something that deserved to be fixed, and you could be buying something new when you don't need to have a used item you paid new prices for. Don't be afraid to say no. And other people may not like your answer because they want it to be fixed, unless there's a sentimental reason or a special circumstance. I generally don't fix machines that are going to be putting the owner upside down. If this needed a new carburetor and piston and rings and all kinds of things, but it looks great, and the total came pretty close, let's say 75% of whatever that is new, I'm just going to tell them, person, I could fix it, but you're really not going to get any benefit. It's just going to be a used machine, and I would prefer not to. Unless they really, really understand the reason why and they're still okay with it, I just won't. Majority of the time they don't. I've only had one or two real difficult pushbacks, there's been a couple others, don't get me wrong, but those are like sentimental reasons, like old machines. Like my grandpa had this, I wanted to keep running. I can understand that. You're not going to use it every day, you just kind of want to have it there. That's fine. I'm not going to bash sentimental issues, but yeah, if it's like a professional and they can just go over to their local supply and pick up a new one, don't bother. They're going to save them time. They're going to respect you for it. They'll bring you back more machines, trust me, and you're not going to have to worry about doing a job that you won't really want to do or potentially even have time to do. So those are my do's and don'ts. I just told you I'd tell you which ones it cost me the most money and made me the most money. And I will tell you the one that made me the most is working with a legitimate professional. They consistently bring you machines. They don't have to do any research to find them, and they pay you promptly at a good rate because they know you're probably saving them money from a shop rate, and they're happy to pay you. With the exception of maybe some larger ticket items where I tell them a ways around it, mainly for tax purposes, because I'm not going to get into that. But they'll pay you consistently and at a good rate. The part that costs me the most money is not knowing how to work on something before I started working on someone else's machine. I can go over the details, but it was a fairly new machine. I was very unfamiliar with it, and unfortunately my error caused me to have to spend about $290 of my own cash to repair it back to where it was when they first gave it to me, and then I still repaired it again for the actual amount for the actual repair that they originally wanted to do. So all in all, I probably spent like $350 on parts and material, not even labor, and I was only able to recoup 100, maybe 120, because of my error. So that cost me the most money at that one particular time. So follow those rules if you're going to be doing this. If you like what you see, keep watching, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at SmallEngine101. If you have any questions or if there's any rules that you have that I just didn't discuss, these are, I would consider, a very good base, but I can go on for hours and hours and hours of tools you should never use or techniques you should never use, but good general information. I think this covers a good section of it. But if you have a good general section, leave a comment below as well. If you need any personalized help, definitely consider becoming a member. That is a perk, and I'll be happy to help. Have a good night.